business development and was part of strategic initiatives. He was heading technology vertical for TCS Japan in his last role in Tata Consultancy Services before he moved on. He's a computer science engineering graduate and has an executive MBA from the prestigious Ross School of Management, Michigan in the United States, and CSQA selected to the Tata Group Executive Leadership Program at TMTC, Pune. He is also a fellow at KSCST, the Indian Institute of Science, and worked extensively in the area of remote sensing and GIS. Originally, Milind is from Belgavi, Karnataka. He's worked in Bangalore, the Netherlands, in the US, at Boston, Tokyo, Japan. Currently, he is based out of Mumbai, Maharashtra. Very appropriately, he will speak on customer experience in the era of digital technologies. All of you know that digitization is occurring rapidly, and what could be more appropriate than to talk about how it's going to influence us in the days ahead. Thank you very much, Milind, for being here, and over to you now.
Thank you so much, Captain Nagaraj, for those kind words. And thanks to Bytes and Dayanand Sagar University for giving me this opportunity. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, yes.
All right. Thanks to Arvind Srinivas, who sort of initiated and spoke to me about this initiative. At the outset, I think this is a great initiative that you're driving, helping many students, colleges across Karnataka. And I come from, as I said, originally from Belgavi. I've studied in that part of Karnataka. My schooling, college, I've done there. So I understand, right, the need for such sessions, webinars. Those were not there when I was in the college, but now I'm sure it's helping the students in the colleges immensely across Karnataka. So again, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. Right. With that said, I'll get into the topic. I understand the participants are mix of students and professors from multiple engineering colleges. So it's probably also an learning experience for me based on the question that you may have or suggestions during the course of this presentation. So I think, as I understood, we'll go through the presentation for the initial 40-45 minutes and then keep it open for some Q&A later. Right? That's a format we'll follow. So customer experience, right, is nothing new for anybody. We've been talking about it. We know what customer experience means. For the simple reason is that irrespective of what job we are, we are a student or a professor or an IT professional, whatever, we are also a customer, right, for something that we are buying. And whether we're buying a mobile or anything, right, there's always an experience that follows, and it has been there for ages, customer experience. But what has happened in the last few years is phenomenal change, that's in terms of expectations from the customers, right, and from the companies who are providing the products and services to the customers. So it's the only reason for that is the technology that have come into the market. I can talk about, say, last about 10 years, but in the last 4 to 5 years, it's actually phenomenal changes that have happened in the technology. So the whole topic today I'm going to talk about is a few things, and I just want to leave you with some ideas, thoughts, right, about why customer experience is so important in the era of digital technologies. So I'll briefly talk about the evolution of customer experience. This is nothing new, as I said. There are some small nuances, not great, but it's extremely important for us to understand what is customer, who is consumer, who is a user, right? Some of those nuances, because it actually defines the way you build a product or a service to your customers. So I'll briefly talk about that so that we are all on the same page. Then there are multiple things that are happening in the customer experience in the current scenario in the market. And primarily they are being driven by the digital technologies. right? So I just want to go a little bit next level details as to what are the technologies, how are they enabling customer experience, how are they helping the vendors, the companies to provide world-class customer experience, right? I'll briefly talk about that. Post which are those technologies which are driving the trend now, right? So again, I'll touch upon that, and very briefly, one slide around future of customer experience technologies. So essentially, if you look at it, the focus is on two aspects. One is customer experience, the other one is on the technologies related to customer experience. Okay. And I don't know how the Q&A is going to happen, Captain, but I'll just go on assuming there are no questions. If there are any questions you want to stop me,
So
please.
we'll take the questions at the end,
Okay.
and people are welcome to post their questions either in chat or in the Q&A box,
Okay.
and we'll pick them off there.
Sure. Sounds good.
So please keep going.
Okay. So customer experience, as we speak about the evolution, right? Any evolution, if you look at it, it's an ongoing process. Okay. And it never stops. It will keep evolving. New things will come and the expectations will change, and customer experience is no different for that. Okay. And I want to start off by saying why customer experience is so important in this current era. Uh, And if you look at Amazon, right, I think all of us, if not, I mean, most of us, if not all of us, have been experiencing or using Amazon in some shape, some form, right? I mean, it's nothing but a pure play e-commerce platform, okay? And it provides you very competitive prices, and it has a massive amount of inventory, uh, and it also tells you which is a good product, the user references, and it provides you exactly what information that you're looking for before you buy any product. Okay. And all this is possible because of a phenomenal and the latest backend technology that are supporting this platform, and we'll talk about those technologies in a bit detail little later on. Okay. And if you look at some of you, I mean, many of the students may not be aware, but Netflix actually started off as a DVD slash tapes in those days, which were available. They used to rent them on a daily basis, and they changed that model eventually to they would actually ship uh, their DVDs, right? People who want to watch movies, they would actually ship those DVDs to the customers. Uh, and then the customers would watch those movies and drop those DVDs back in a Dropbox nearby their house, and that is how they became popular. But Netflix was very smart to get and understand the technology, the way technology was changing. They actually grabbed that opportunity and they created this platform called Netflix, right? I mean, they completely transformed that company into a digital company. And now you know, right? I mean, whenever you log into, or I mean, I'm sure students would uh, appreciate it. Moment you are on Netflix, it exactly know what kind of movies you like, right? And it just pops up only those movies banners to you so that you go and watch those movies. So it is all, there is a bigger technology playing in the back end. There's analytics that is playing in the back end, which actually recognizes and gives you that. And if you look at the entire customer experience, the one company which started and changed the paradigm, as I say, right, it was Apple. Apple was the first company which actually brought in the telephone, the internet, and the computer together in one device. Okay, that is the iPhone. And without going into right what they did, I think what Steve Jobs said at that point of time, you got to start with customer experience and work backwards the technology and not the other way around, right? I mean, it talks so much, this one particular sentence that Steve Jobs has said, right? It's not because I know AI, I know ML, I have IoT experience, or right, the tools, so I will try to sell that and I'll fit that to sell something, right? It is not, it's the other way around. You understand what customer wants, how can we delight the customer, and then look for which technology actually will fit to deliver that. So a customer experience came at the forefront with Apple actually did the phenomenal job there. And similarly for Uber. So these are some of the very successful companies which have used customer experience to make billions and billions of dollars, becoming global, right, giants in a way, tech companies, a very successful company, and it's entirely because of the focus on the customer experience. I'm sure most of us have used all these products, solutions, services of these companies. A couple of interesting quotes, right? When it comes to customer experience, and it's usually human tendency, is said by Paul Hagen, where he says there is something inherent in human behavior to try to find an easier way to do things, right? I mean, it's always true. It's human nature, right? Earlier, we had to go to a bus stop or an auto stand or a right taxi stand to go and wait and negotiate and get into. Now, with Uber coming in, people actually prefer to do that. It's a very easier way to do things. Okay, so that's, and I mean, it's about us understanding that nature and building right solutions and products. And very interesting, I'm sure you've seen this about from Bill Gates about, I choose a lazy person to do a hard job. Okay, very interesting one, because the lazy person will find an easy way to do it. Okay, I mean, it's so meaningful in a way that any complex work that we think it can be simplified, whether it is building a product, or whether it is selling a product, or whether it is supporting or deploying the product or services, right? It can be done in a very simple way, and that's what our approach should be. Okay, so this is talking about the success of customer experience and why it is so important in the current era in the industry. I'll not spend any much time on this particular slide, but I just wanted to set that context. I told you there's a confusion always about who is a customer and who is a consumer, because they're used interchangeably. Especially essentially, customer is a person who buys, who pays, right, the money and buys the products or services. Okay, consumer is a person who actually uses that service or a product. Okay, so that's a fine difference there. Usually customer will buy it, right, and he might use it for himself or he might sell it. Okay, so that's a for a customer, whereas consumer is always a end user. Okay, there's no further, no person will not sell it to somebody else. That's a consumer. And of course, I spoke about the price is paid by usually customer. In case of consumer need not, he might just use it. The customer has bought it and consumer may use it. I'll give you an example of that. And the important aspect here is customer could be an individual or an organization, right? As Sutherland, I work for a company called Sutherland, right? I can be a customer as a company, or I'm Milind Deshpande. I am as an individual, I can buy something. Okay, whereas usually consumer is an individual, and that is me. I will use the services or products, or it could be a group of people. So the difference here is when you talk about organizations versus individual, right? There are emotions, preferences come into play when you talk about consumer. Whereas in case of organization, it will be more about your financial ability to buy stuff and business case and things like that. So, and the example here is goods are gifted to individuals, right? I mean, if you buy a gift, um, so I become a customer because I bought it, right? As a father or a friend or whatever, but I give it to somebody to use it, that person is a consumer, right? And similarly, candy is bought by dad, daddy is a customer and kid is a consumer, right? So what is important, if I'm a candy manufacturer, what is important for me is not the financial ability of the father, but what a kid would like, right? What is his taste, his or her taste, and right preferences, and how do I make it more attractive? So that whole mindset of building a product, selling the product changes accordingly. Okay, so these are brief nuances about customer and consumer, and that they can be used interchangeably in most of the cases. For example, if you go to a grocery store, I can buy and as well as I consume it. So I can become a, as I said, a customer and a consumer. Okay. This is a bit heavy slide, but I'll try to make it very simple because when we speak about consumer, right, it's consumer. Every individual is a consumer in this on this earth, right? Everybody is consuming something, one or the other things. If you look at it traditionally, we always, a company would build a product and they would want to sell it to a segment. For example, if I build a product which is primarily for a construction industry or I can build a product which is primarily for banking industry or banking individuals, right? So it is always for a set of people. Always we built that, and we provided services, we did marketing, selling, everything for that particular set of people. But the what has helped now in the current state of technologies is enabling us to take it to the next level, saying it's not about the entire set of people or a organization or a segment, but I can actually go and sell it to an individual person within that segment and individually to each one of them. For example, I'm working for Sutherland and we are buying 10,000 t-shirts, for example, right? there's a It's very easy for now for each individual. Preferences are taken, and you tailor those t-shirts to individual needs and taste, right? Not that I will build one product and sell it to the 10,000 people. So so that's a change that has come in, which we call segment of one, right? It's extremely important. When you go to Amazon and try to buy something, Amazon very much knows what exactly are your tastes, what are your preferences, okay, and what you're likely to buy and what you're likely not to buy. Okay, it knows, and it actually brings up only those options which are relevant for us, and that's what we call segment of one or hyper personalization. Okay, and there are multiple parameters, as you can see on the slide. As you would have heard about this configure to order or engineer to order, right? And this is not a new concept. It has been there for many years, or if not decades, in the industry. That, while you are making for a particular 1,000 or 10,000 or 1 lakh, 10 lakh people one particular product, but there are going to be exception. There are going to be 10 people who will say, no, I need these specific things. Can you build it for me? Right? Then we will actually do it for that order. Okay. The difference now is it is not going to be 5, 10, 15 people, but entire 1 lakh people whom you are targeting. Each individual needs a customized, made to order kind of product. Okay, so how do we do that at scale is a challenge, and that is what companies like Amazon or Uber have been able to do it. So every time you go to their platform, you think that they're actually talking to you, they're addressing your particular needs, they're meeting your requirements specifically individually. And that's a big difference that has come in the market. And again, digital technologies are enabling all of that. If you have seen Facebook, right? It exactly knows, it personalizes based on your friends, their interests and their friends' interests, and what kind of activities you have done. So there is a lot of information that can be brought together in a very quick, no, in a very fraction of seconds, and actually give you that experience, which will make you feel that it's actually addressing your specific needs. Why is it happening now, right? Why we couldn't do it 5 years back or 7 years back, 10 years back? Why is it now it's possible? It's because it's age of abundance, right? I mean, when we talk about abundance, we have humongous amount of talent available, right? Very smart people, like the students who are attending this, right? You are learning AI, ML, IoT, many of these technologies. Already you know about these technologies very well, and that talent and knowledge is available. In terms of resources, the hardware, the cloud, right? Um, the big data, um, the resources are available at scale. Okay. Earlier, I'm sure Arvind would know more than me, right? Getting a floppy disk on a 64 KB or 128 KB would be a major thing. Now storage is like we're talking about petabytes and terabytes of data, right, on a hard disk. So that's a kind of resources available now from hardware and the capabilities. So all this combination of uh, technologies and the availability of resources and capable and talent and other things is driving this technology change, and which essentially is driving the customer experience. Okay. All right. So here is a quick journey. Okay. Before I get to the specific technology architecture, uh, um, uh, see, in 20s and 50s, right, there's not much of I would say technology. That was more about personal connects, relationship. You know people. You go to few shops and do some market research, understand what the requirements of that particular industry or a city or whatever that could be. It's a manual process. So due to the market research, it was done in 20s, 30s, up to 70s, 80s, Okay, and 80s was when actually the manufacturing, the automotive, right, revolution has started taking place through TQM, total quality management, just in time, all the entire, right, the process. And though it was not a direct customer experience kind of approach, but it was impacting the customer, right? When you're actually delivering the product on time with quality, right? That actually is helping. But that was not really measured at that point of time, whether customer is happy, how happy or not happy the customer is. But as the internet era started in 2000s, when people started using it extensively, this you would have heard this customer satisfaction, or NPS, that is called Net Promoter Score, was established. So that's where it was. We started measuring whether customer is happy, not happy, how can we make him happy or improve the satisfaction rate, etc., etc. That started happening early 2000, and towards 2008-10, that's when actually customer experience started taking the prominence. Okay, and it actually replaced customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is one aspect of the customer experience. Okay, so I'm briefly will talk about that as well. And in the last 4 or 5 years, customer experience is at the center of anything most of the companies are doing now, whether it is on the manufacturing side, it is the banking side, automotive side, you name the industry, and customer experience is at the center of anything that is being done. Okay, so this is how the journey of around customer experience has gone about. It's a phenomenal change that has happened for decades, but where we are at the moment, and I must say that we are very lucky at this stage, right, where it is seeing such a massive change in the technologies, and which is impacting the customer experience. Okay, so what are the different trends, in customer experience? I'm sure some of you would have heard this word omni-channel, because all of us at this stage now in our lives, we are using multiple channels, right? We have a mobile, we have a laptop, we have a telephone at home, we are on social media, all of that, and we want to interact uh, with our vendors, right? Person who's selling the product, the company selling the product or services, we want to interact with them irrespective of what the device is. Okay, so how can we bring all of that is essentially a omni-channel, and this is a platform. I'll talk about it because that's a very critical element of technology, solution for a customer experience. Hyper personalization, we just spoke about segment of one. We need to be very personalized product recommendations there. It's meant for individuals to the extent possible. Uh, and with all these technologies and the data availability comes the risk as well, right? It's in the risk of data privacy, okay, and the cyber security, and the laws and compliances that we need to adhere to, like GDPR for Europe. Okay, these are very important while we have the data, but those have to be used very cautiously and without violating any of the laws protecting customers' data. And essentially what it means is gaining the digital trust of our customers. Okay, and then there are self-service and mobile experiences. There are lots of bots, AI powered chatbots, virtual assistants, right? I mean, see, when you're talking about treating, I'm just giving an example, right? For example, your target is 10 lakh people, you want to sell something, and given our segment of one theory, right, you want to treat each one as a special customer, customized service you want to give them, right? It is practically not possible to have so many people tracking and supporting them, correct? So we will have to find a ways to, through using technologies, how can we actually give them that experience that they are being treated specially and they are special to us, and we are addressing their specific needs, right? So some to do that, there are some self-service and mobile experience that we need to work on, and that's happening as we speak. Internet of Things is actually uh, uh, a key technology which is providing massive amount of data, but then what do we do with the data is a big question. And that's where we're talking about customer insights, analytics, right? And how can we bring the sensor data with the customer demographic data and the behavioral data together to get something useful for our clients. and artificial intelligence. I don't want to really get into that right now because I have some slides. Just a quick time check. We are on. Okay. All right. So so far we spoke about customer experience as a user, right? How important it is, how, from user perspective, what technology changes um, are coming, how they're impacting, why is it important, how companies have been successful, all of that we spoke about, right? Now let's scratch the surface a little bit and see, because we are all engineers, we would want to know how technology in the back end is working, how are these things possible, right, for many companies who are doing it. So here is a very high level view. Okay, when we spoke about right, the users, uh, this is where now we have the users. They essentially, they will interact. If I am a mobile producer, I'm selling my mobile phones to the users, they will interact with my company through any of these channels, right? It could be mobile, it could be web, it could be, they can go to a store, it can be kiosk, whatever. They can be on Facebook and still go to a store and order something, or they can call. So there are multiple channels available to my customers or potential customers. Uh, but what is important for me as a producer of that product or seller of the product or providing the services to this customer is they get the best experience. And they can get the best experience when, irrespective of which channel they come to me, I provide the same experience to them. Okay, whether they, for example, they order provide one through web, they place an order using web, and they reach out to me for some support through through their mobile. As a service provider, as a product owner, I need to quickly find out it's the same person, same product, and this is coming through multiple channel. And this is where we are talking about how can we actually talk about, we call touch point transformation, where we actually bring all the touch points together under this omni channel. Okay, this is the omni channel we are talking about. Okay, so this omni channel is essentially brings all these things together. And as an engineer, what you would need to do is, whenever you are developing a mobile application or a web application for a similar, then they all should be talking to each other. Okay, and they might have a common database in the backend which is accessing. So that is where we talk about a layer which is essentially talking about APIs and integration, right? Intelligent workflows, things like that, right? Where they're talking to each other. They're not working in silos. They're not working separately. They're talking to each other. So anytime a user comes to this, they're talking to each other and they identify this is a customer and we will actually need to provide this service. Okay. So this is how the technology in the backend, right, is working. And what happens if you look at when I'm interacting with this user, a customer here, right, instead of user or customer, a customer, if you look at the journey, if somebody plans to buy a mobile, that person will start looking, will go to Google or Facebook or wherever, some social media, and start searching for mobile, right? The kind of mobile that person is looking for. Okay, and I'm sure your experience moment you go and search for a mobile or a TV, just do a Google. Momently, next time you open a Facebook or Twitter or anything, it will start popping up those advertisements, right? Is it no? Is the Sony TV great offer, 65-inch and things like that? Okay, so that's essentially a marketing automation solution that's working in the backend. It actually recognizes and then pulls the data and actually starts popping up those advertisements. So this is what we call here is, we look at the customer journey, right? Even before a customer buys my product, we want to be engaged with that potential customer to understand their needs, expectations, and all that, and capture all of the data in the backend system. Okay, and that is integrated with our. Once the person buys the product, it goes into a system called CRM, Customer Relationship Management. Okay, where which product person has bought, all the details, right? Which when you buy it, the idea is not only to sell you one product, right? And the idea is to sell what else can be sold. And this is the data that will be used. For example, if you bought a TV today, maybe you're going to buy a fridge based on your other activities that are being tracked. So how can we actually start positioning a refrigerator for you? So some of that, and it's all done using analytics. Okay, all this will generate huge amount of data, and that actually essentially will help us to provide the insights, customer preferences, and then actually start being very relevant for your requirement, right? It's not a general refrigerator advertisement that will come. It will actually come based on your financial capability, what kind of refrigerator you might be able to buy, what could be your color, choice. It's all sort of understood, and those things are shared uh, with the potential customers. And as I said, all this is happening primarily because the resources are abundant. We have huge amount of hardware, cloud, network, bandwidth, talent, which was not the case 5 year or 10 year back. Okay, for everything, it used to be, though the technology was available, it was not available in abundance. Okay, now that problem is gone. It's available in abundance. It's very cheap, and we can actually make use of all of that to drive the customer experience. Okay, yeah, this slide looks a bit okay, crowded, but I'll see how. And we've more or less we've covered it. What I will try to do here is, if you look at this slide, right now, I'm more or less, I'm going to cover this part of the story. Okay, all this what you saw here is all backend integration and analytics. Okay, so I will try to see how actually, as a user, when the customer starts interacting with Amazon or Netflix or any of these platforms, for that matter, Sutherland, we have our own platform for our customers. We don't deal with direct consumers, but we have enterprise customers, large customers, global customers. So, and we spoke about omni-channel already, right? So the customer have the choice here, right? These are the choice customer has. He can go through website, can pick up the phone and talk, can send an email, can get onto a chat or mobile SMS, can be social media or back office, or can go to a retail store, and right, whether it is a buy or if there's a complaint or a service request, whatever that could be. And the customer has a choice to do any of this. What, as the solution, the backend solution, right? What happens is, we need a connect platform, right? Which I said, which touch point transformation. So irrespective of where the data is coming from, this particular platform will understand that who the customer is, right? All the engagements that have happened with this customer, and it pulls all the data related to the customer in one place. Okay, and the very next thing that happens is, uh, and it actually brings the analytics data also. Okay, when I say this is analysis bots, it's very quickly, there are I'm sure you've heard about bots. If you don't know, please ask me. And probably, it's bots is nothing but replacing certain activities that human being is doing. It mimics, and it has some intelligence built into it, and it can actually do those activities. So it actually, what this bot does is, it actually goes and pulls a lot of data, okay, about the customer, and it actually feeds into the Connect platform. So this is how it actually brings all the data that is available, relevant, not relevant, everything comes in here. Okay, and the third thing, what I told you, right? If somebody is trying to reach to a service agent, for example, it is not possible to have thousands and thousands of service agents to support, right, 1 lakh people, or we cannot have so many people supporting. So the idea is to use the technology to minimize the human intervention, so that the technology or the tools, the software can take care of. And what we call cognitive bots, they are pretty intelligent bots. They understand what customer problem is. They can respond to customer, and in many cases, they will solve the problem that customer is looking for. Okay, those are cognitive bots. Okay, and I'm not saying that they will solve 100% of the problem. Even if it solves 40%, 50% of those queries or problems, I think that's a significant reduction in terms of, right, number of people you would need to support them. And once it's beyond that, which goes to agent or a service, right, executive, the service executive is no longer a person who's carrying just a phone. Okay, and then he will start asking you what's your background and all that. The moment it goes to a service agent, the service agent is supported by ML based deep insight. Okay, which essentially means, on the monitor, the agent has all the information about you. Okay, how many products you have bought in the past, where you've gone, what are your choices, what are your preferences, uh, and uh, and also it can also give a feel in terms of whether it is escalation, the customer is angry, upset, happy, delighted, whatever, right? All those indications are given to the agent. So by the time that service person talks to you, your customer, the service executive knows, right, what the problem is, and the conversation will be driven in those lines. Okay, if the customer is happy, we will try to make him more happier by giving some offers and some discounts, or try to sell something. If the customer is angry, which the agent would know, in advance, he will actually try to provide a quick solution, assurances, and calm him down. So this is a kind of technology that is playing in the back end, which is helping uh, all these companies. Okay, this is one side of the story, right? The other side, what happens, right? How is agent, when said the person, right, how do we get to know the data about a customer, what he's done or he or she has done, or preferences and all that? So in the back end, it's all integrated with e-commerce or POS platforms, the marketing platform, the CRM, the inventory. You can look at this. These are different systems in the back end that are integrated. They're talking to each other. Not only that, but there are other outside external uh, platforms like weather. Demo. This particular solution was designed for a outdoor gaming uh, customer, where weather was very important for them to understand, know demography, what kind of people, what is the background, all that. And all these come from different channels. Okay, this could be from Facebook, it could be coming from various other sources in the social media and otherwise. But what is important for us as a technologist is to look at how do we run this big data analytics. Okay, you're going to get millions and millions of records, right? Petabytes of data, right? How do you make sense of the data? And it's practically not possible to look at it manually, right, and figure out what is right, what is wrong. So we really need to build that algorithms. We need to build those solutions, data models, and actually drive the data analytics, which essentially will give us what is the customer's 360 degree, what is bought, and the history. As some of you in Kannada would know, Kundali, right? You know the customer's Kundali, background, everything you know about the customer. What is that customer likely to go and do next, right? It's in terms of prediction. Is he going to buy? Is he going to just inquiring? Is he going to buy, or is not happy, whatever that prediction, right? Customers. So these are some of the things: buying behavior, product recommendations, targeted. So all these things can be outcome of all the data that's coming through multiple channels using a big data analytics platform. And these are pushed through back to the customer through the choice of a customer again, right? It's not that customer has to log into app or has to call to know what it is, but it is actually, it's customer's choice. Customer is very comfortable and working on this or one or multiple of those channels, so that it helps the customer. So this is how in the back end the systems are working to make sure that. And this is, though this slide is uh, looks fancy, this is essentially the combination of what you saw, the previous two slides, what you saw, right? Essentially, when you have customer, right, who's coming, and we, as I said, we want to treat 10 lakh people as individual special customers, attending to them individually, right? It's not possible to have so many people from our side to do that. So what we do at the first step, when we're designing, first thing we do is a customer experience design, right? How many customers, what kind of customers, what their expectations are, what is the financial background or capabilities, etc., etc. We do a customer design. Then what we do is, how can we empower those consumers or customer, okay, so that even before they come to us, how can they help themselves through, whether it is through a conversational AI, that's a chat bots, or FAQs and different channels we can empower the consumer here. So essentially, the the load on our resources, whether it is human or otherwise, is minimal. But beyond that, there's an option for any consumer or customer to come through any of the channel of their choice, whether voice, email, chat. And then we spoke about that integrating all those omni-channel, right, through a connect a kind of platform, which essentially understands everything about customer, and that is supported by different tools, agent assist, training development, analysis, and we spoke about it, right? That it through different systems, it takes all the inputs. So at this stage, y- exactly we know what customer is looking for, what is our next step should be. At this stage, we will know everything. Okay, and then to make that happen, they're all integrated in the backend with CRM, ERP, there, right? Where whatever different tools, Oracle, cloud, all of that. So this is essentially bringing these two aspects, right? On one side, from the user side in the backend, the technology side, how they come together to provide the best in class customer experience. Okay, I have one or two slides, I think, max. Then we'll keep it open for Q&A. Uh, so these are the technologies which are driving customer experience now. Okay, as we speak. Okay, these are AI and ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these platforms are very, very intelligent these days. The more users log in, the more it learns automatically, and deep learning. And there's significant right advancement in terms of technology algorithms in that space. Um, for example, sentiment analysis is one great example where if you launch a product in the market, within minutes, you probably can get to know whether your product is doing well, what is the feedback, what customers are thinking, what are the sentiments, right? All of that can be quickly captured, and then find out what the gaps are and improve your product in the next version. Okay, so some of those things are very, very, very well built into the system these days. IoT is another one where it's making a big impact, especially in retail, manufacturing, automotives. These are the industries IoT is making massive inroads and making big impacts. Right, in case of a moment you walk into a retail store, it can actually recognize you and actually start sending some advertisements, right, based on your interest. Then the shelves are fitted with sensors. When you go and pick up, and moment, it can automatically raise an order to replenish that particular shelf. Things like that, right? And then preventive maintenance and all that. The IoT is generating a lot of data, which is very useful for analytics and customer experience. And cloud, I don't have to talk much about cloud. Anything we do now is is has something to do with cloud. Most of them are on cloud, and the expectation is that most of these things are sold as a service. When I say as a service, we don't have to pay for the entire thing, right? We just pay for what we use. That's a model. So that's a SaaS model, as it's called. So essentially, cloud is a very, very important driver in customer experience. Blockchain is picking up significant, especially it's doing very well, and we're seeing a lot of solutions in the area of banking and finance area with cryptocurrencies and smart contracts. So there's a significant solutions available in the market, and AR and VR, right? So these are for real estate, automotives, some of these industries. There's huge demand for virtual reality and the solutions around that. What's the next? What's happening in the space next, right? I think, see, I mean, nobody can predict what's going to happen next in terms of technology. But in terms of customer experience, based on the visibility that we have at the stage, AI is going to play a very, very critical role, artificial intelligence with virtual assistants. Okay. I mean, we are all sort of aware that there are call centers and we call 1-800 numbers and get support and all that, right? I think most of it will be supported by virtual assistants going forward. I think that's is already happening to large extent, but I think that's going to accelerate for far more in the years to come, like customer support, sales assistants, etc. Right? All that will happen through a virtual assistant. There's a conversational AI where you speak, even if I speak in Kannada, and the system can very quickly understand. It will convert voice into text. It will feed that to a bot, and bot will go back and integrate with, it will pull the data from different systems and come back and provide an answer to the user. So those kind of things are happening as we speak, but this is going to accelerate. The second one is around the holographic technology, where 3D viewing experience of an entire audience, right? It's actually, before you buy a product, you can actually see that product on your table. Okay, it's a holographic experience that's likely to happen. So it's not only see the picture, but actually you can see it in 3D. Then autonomous checkouts, I'm sure you heard about it. The many stores in the US and Japan and other countries, and I'm sure we'll have soon in India, or maybe there could be one or two, where there are no cash counters. You just walk into a shop, pick up whatever you want and walk out. You don't have to swipe your card. You don't have to show anything. You just walk in and walk out. And there are cameras which will do the face recognition. There are NFC, right? Other technologies which will actually recognize your mobile phone or a credit card, whatever, and they will actually invoice and charge your credit card or account, whatever that is required, right? It's an integrated payment. So that kind of seamless technologies are coming in, and that's so those are happening in a very small scale at the moment, but I think there's a good potential for that to expand soon. Digital twin, again, this digital twin as a concept has been there for quite some time, at least for several years now, where we have large products, right? For example, a turbine, just take an example, large turbine you installed. Every time there's a problem, it's a massive effort and cost to pinpoint what the problem is. You have to open the entire thing and check where the problem is, troubleshooting and all that. Whereas in case of digital twin, you have a digital twin of the actual product, and you can actually do the entire troubleshooting, diagnosis, everything on the digital product, and find out, and just in that case you just go and fix that particular problem in a large equipment. That's and especially some of the equipments I spoke about, turbine, right? It's very difficult to actually go in there, or maybe some of the oil uh, refineries and all that, right? It's very difficult to go, but you do 90% of the job on your laptop or systems, find what the problem is, what the solution is, everything, and then if it requires for you to go and share the uh, if you have to go and replace the spare part, then only then you have to go and just go and do that. All right. So these are some of the thoughts I thought I will share with you today on this call. I'll be glad to take some questions if you have. So with that, that was my last slide, Captain and Arvind.
So that was a very interesting address, and thank you. And it's amazing at the kind of technology which is coming in. And yes, I'm aware that you got Amazon Go in the US, where these are stores that do not have a cash counter and so on and so forth. We have a couple of questions, and I'll go with Professor Shankar first. He says that I think that customer experience is a factor to be considered right at the stage of service design. What are the challenges faced at the design stage?
Correct. A very good question. Right. So this is where we actually start looking at customer design, right? I mean, whether it is product or a service, the way we go about doing it. The question was from, sorry,